So, hello and welcome to a different type of episode for AI Security Ops, where we have a special guest from Black Hills Business Capture team. We don't have a sales team, we have a business capture. We're a little bit different in that regard, which is an interesting thing, but not what this podcast will be about. We're going to talk about a new service offering that we have at Black Hills, who, as if you've been following the podcast, you know that Black Hills Information Security brings you this podcast. They're our sponsors. We also work for them. And where we will do any kind of offensive security that you're looking for. We have a SOC that we'll manage your security posture on the inside and monitor for threats. We have continuous red teaming and pen testing, where we will test you all year long, like real threat actors, and traditional pen testing as well, web apps and such. And then also anti-siphon training, where you want to learn how to be a penetration tester or do forensics or learn about the intersection of AI and cybersecurity and many other security topics. And anti-siphon is your place. And thanks for coming on, Melissa. We love it when we have special guests because it's usually just us droning on and on and on about things.
Well, we do it often. Now we're just doing it where
So
it's like so.
yeah, I mean, I think I spend most of my days staring into the camera and talking either on Teams meeting or on YouTube. And it's funny, it always reminds me of when my oldest, who's about to go off to college, she found out that I was on YouTube like way back in the day. And she was like, "Oh, that's so cool." And then she started watching one of my YouTube videos and then never talked about it ever again. So
That's funny.
like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So,
Yeah,
but I think you have a couple of questions for us about what we're going to be calling the Fusion AI pen testing suite at Black Hills.
Yeah, and I think, the reason why I have some questions is because, being on the business capture team, we're definitely in the front lines of answering customer questions. So to bring just a few questions forward, first of all, like, what is it?
That's a fantastic question because everybody and their brother is doing AI. If you are on X or Twitter or whatever, I think everybody's got a new red team agentic solution that's going to kill all pen testing or something, right, Brian?
Yeah, that's what we keep hearing. Everyone's out of business, close the doors. AI is gonna do it all, right?
Yeah. So, back in I'd say November, the AI world kind of started changing, and then after the Christmas break of 2025 into 2026, people started really talking about agentic AI and coding agents and personal AI agents. And it really started to blow up. And Brian and I, at least I think this was the genesis of it. I think we were in DC with John Strand and Erica at dinner at a Chinese restaurant, and they challenged us to make our own AI-powered external penetration testing offering. And that was kind of like the general strategic direction from John Strand. We could see which way the wind was blowing with traditional pen testing, and as you know, Melissa, talking about internally with data and tests all the time and trends, like we were seeing certain trends, and so they asked us to create our own AI powered pen testing suite, and really we kind of started there. Now, I don't know, like if you're just tuning into this podcast, I think
Yeah.
Brian and I have been doing AI stuff for a while. I went and got a master's over the pandemic in data science, and then Brian one upped me and went and got a doctorate. And what is your doctorate in?
Data science and engineering.
Yeah, so it seemed like a good fit. I could see why John and Erica were asking us, and so we started essentially with Claude Code and Claude Code skills, kind of testing the waters, and it quickly grew into a custom coded agentic platform that basically ingests external scan results and then spawns agents to go off and investigate those results, which is kind of generically like I think what a lot of folks are doing out in the industry. But we wanted to do it in a way where we built in Black Hills institutional knowledge. Essentially, like, how would we go about doing an external penetration test, and can we get the AI to do that?
Yeah, and I think that that's a key point. I mean, we spent a lot of time looking through reports, seeing what works, what doesn't, and trying to make sure that we capture that expertise and the methodology and what makes Black Hills so successful and keeps people coming back. Because it's like, just because you have a hammer doesn't mean that you're a master carpenter, right? Like it's you gotta have the expertise behind it to be able to make a good product. You can't just say, "Hey, we're using this technology," and suddenly it's great. I mean, we saw this. I mean, almost a decade ago, when before this round of AI hype, when AI was being integrated more into the defensive products, the EDR type products, and com- so many companies were popping on. They're like, "Hey, we got AI in here," and it's like, okay, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. And so we took the time to make sure that, like, that this is going to be a good product, that this is something that we feel good about and really encompasses that domain knowledge that we've built up at this company throughout the years.
Yeah, so here's a really good example. Like, so I'm sure that if you're watching this podcast and you've been following Black Hills and John Strand, he's talked about how you look at vulnerability results, like scanner results. Like, what do you do if you're a person and you're looking for scanner results? And we have preached for a long time, just don't look at the criticals and the highs, right? Just there are things in the mediums and lows and informationals in a scanner result that could be really important. And so we built our agents to do that, to look at, mediums, lows, and informationals, and figure out, can they be chained together to do something more critical, to have more impact. And so there's actually what we call chaining algebra, like, built into the actual, like, platform, where it'll go and find things that could be combined together.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's so
Yeah, and oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the thing that I probably should have started with, the thing that's exciting to me about you two doing this is because of all the people that have worked here the longest. I've been here since day one, but you two have both been here from the grounds up. And so that's what's exciting to me is I feel like our roots are leading this. So go ahead, Brian.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a great point, and thank you. I appreciate that. Um, So, yeah, going on, and then also adding on, what also makes this special is that what we get out of the AI component is, you can see exactly what it did and how it did it, how it came to the conclusions that it did. So it's not just you get information like, hey, you have this vulnerabilities, and then you're left wondering, like, okay, well, how did you find it? How did you validate it? How did you confirm it? I mean, it's been an issue in AI in general, interpretability. How did you come to that conclusion? Well, with what we built, you see all of that. You get all the steps, you get all the commands, you get everything that you need to see, how did it come to these conclusions, and how can I reproduce this if I need to.
Okay, so you probably answered this question, but my next question is why was there a need for this service? And I think you already talked about it a little bit of listening to the environment and everything. Is there anything else? Can you give me a case study of why you think we finally took this on?
Yeah, I think, like, I mean, I've been using AI to help me do offensive security work and defensive security work since ChatGPT came out, basically. And even before then, I was dabbling in some more traditional, like, machine learning type stuff. And I guess, I threat actors caught on too. And one of the things that we've always tried to do at Black Hills is, be leading the security industry in, kind of mimicking what threat actors do, and to, do the same types of things. And so I think it was October of 2025, Anthropic actually released a report on how a Chinese threat actor was abusing their services to essentially run, hacking campaigns, successful hacking campaigns. And they put out a paper that actually had a 30,000 foot view of how they were doing that, which I, kind of, use. It's like, oh, look, this is like kind of a blueprint, because even back last fall we were talking about this kind of stuff, right? And I think that, one of the needs is just the world is changing, right? I mean, we have threat actors who are using AI to discover vulnerabilities, to do penetration testing, to do, to automate their work. And so we wanted to build a platform that essentially enabled our testers to be better, like not to replace them, because that's not really going to happen in the short term, in my opinion. Like, I mean, AI taking our jobs, if anything, AI has made more work for us, to be honest. And so I think that I basically, honestly, I think it was necessity, right? Like, to keep up and to do what other folks and threat actors are doing, we almost had to do it. And it's actually kind of funny at the beginning, like, say, I'd say February and March of this year, I actually had folks, like peers from other firms, like reaching out going, ah, crap, I guess I shouldn't ignore this AI thing. What do I need to do to get started, kind of thing? And it's like, oh, you're calling me? Oh, that's flattering. Thank you. So,
Yeah, it's funny with the quick turnaround, and we discussed this just within the last week or so, and what our business capture team is seeing is that about a year ago, companies were like, hey, we absolutely don't want you to be using AI in the engagements, and now like a year later, they're like, hey, why are you using AI in your engagements? Because we really want to see that.
yeah, y'all got any more of that AI stuff in there?
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
stark change, that's for sure, which has made us really, really stand up and pay attention, to what the customers are saying and the customer concerns in that regard. My next question is in regards to the timing. I know internally in the discussions there was a lot of discussion about should we do this, how do we do this, but there was a pause, right? And I know there was a lot of trial and error. And you can probably tie in my next question with, which is, what were you apprehensive about? And then what did you find that you were was surprisingly successful? So this is like a three-way question. I'm sorry. So why did it took a while, because here we are 6 months later. Um, what were you apprehensive about? Or what did you have expected hurdles, or that you knew were going to be there? And then what surprised you in its success?
Yeah, so I think all that kind of ties in together. I would say, as you said. So taking the time to build it out, as we discussed earlier, that also kind of ties into what we're a little bit apprehensive about, is just ensuring that at the end of this, that we have a product that we can feel good about, that it's not just putting out garbage that doesn't make sense. It's not hallucinating things, that findings that aren't there. It's not missing things that should be clearly found, and that the results are usable and actionable. And so that's something that we spent quite a bit of time on, iterating through, testing against our own company, testing against some of our continuous customers who wanted to kind of pilot this technology and were okay with it, and just iterating through this to ensure that at the end of it, that when we run this and we see the results, that we go through, we look at it, and we're like, okay, this looks good. Some of the surprising successes that we've had out of it are some of the interesting things that it found that our testers probably might not have found, not because of a skill level, but just because of time constraints. And I think that that's where this can really help augment some of that traditional pen testing, is that there's only so much time to look at at everything in the customer's environment. And one particular example that we came across recently when we ran this is it actually found a customer website that had been compromised. But the way that it found it was that the threat actors within the HTML code of the website embedded links to shady gambling sites. And the reason that we suspect they did that is so that it would rank their sites high on SEO, because that was a reputable website otherwise. So that information gets scraped off. Yeah. And now suddenly their shady websites are appearing at the top. And that's something that it likely wouldn't have been found because typically we're not going line by line through HTML source code of every single web page to check for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a 3-day engagement. Like,
Yeah.
I will be honest, I'll tell everybody this. If I was on a 3-day external engagement for a decent sized, like, environment, like a medium sized, kind of thing for, like, for a 3-day. 3 days are kind of our smaller side, but they had a number of web services. There's no way I would have looked for that. Like, there's no way. So I would agree with Brian. I think the coverage, like, we started out, Erica, our CFO, wanted to, like, say, like, we talk about saving money and efficiency. Can AI do that for externals? And I think the answer is, well, it depends on how you measure that. Certainly, there's an aspect to it, but I was surprised at, like, the coverage, like, that we could get. Like, that really surprised me in terms of, like, that kind of thing. I mean, we found by the way, that one particular one was it also found the exploit that probably led to that compromise. It's found a critical for, someone that the tester missed. But on the converse side, right, it's also kind of, I mean, I'll just say, not hallucinated, confabulated some stuff. Like, it has trouble still, like, with fitting into our findings, so to speak. And so that's where we still need a tester to come in and go, okay, is this really a high? Because that happens a lot. It'll rank something like a high or a critical, and then we'll look at it and say, I don't think so, really. And so I still, a human is still in the loop. And the AI report, like, like, in the data, doesn't go to the customer. It goes to one of our testers, and then they go and look through and verify. In fact, if you see one of the reports, it'll have what the AI found, and it'll give the human, like, all the commands to go verify. So it's, like, all, like, right there. And so, I think, the coverage aspect kind of surprised me a bit. Oh, and the first part of it too is that what reason it took so long is because I think both of us, we wanted an enterprise class code base. Like, we wanted to make sure that if we were leaning on it to be like a pillar of what we were gonna do moving forward for Black Hills, that it was something that not only, like, if we had to go do something else and somebody had to take it over, that it was a mature code base, but that it was done in kind of, like, I'll say, like, state of the art type of way. And in fact, I actually just had I had AI go through and look at it and do, like, kind of a red team comparison and see, like, is this really, like, how would you gauge this versus the state of the art? And I think what it said was, it's solid production mind React style engineering, a deterministic workflow orchestration plus autonomous tool using workers. I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." Yeah, Brian, I'll give that to you. I just did that this morning, so I'll send that to you. It also came up with a bunch of stuff we should fix. But hey, I mean, this is an ongoing thing. I think what we've told John, or tried to tell John in management, that, like, okay, we've built this as an MVP. This isn't like now it's done. Like, it's something that's going to need, like, tuning and maintaining. And so, I think that's, hopefully we're going to keep, working on that and then branching out into other types of tests. I think probably web apps are next. So,
Okay, great. So, as two of our longest standing employees, I think you guys have been here. I've been here all 18 years. So, I think you guys are right there. I know you, Furman, used to run the internship program.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep, years ago.
Well, yeah. I definitely feel much more confident hearing you explain it, knowing that you were putting the BHIS name to it, but maintaining the quality as well. And me moving forward cautiously, intelligently, and with purpose. Me on the business capture side, I just want to say I personally am excited to not isolate the mid and small customers. Of course, anybody would be able to use this, right? But of course, this does, you mentioned efficiency, this does cut the cost. And so that's what I'm excited about, are those customers who, quite frankly, we never want to isolate any of our customers, but we're not just for the big customers. We're there for the people who need it. And our best customers are the ones who actually want it. Does that make sense? The ones who want it. And so I feel like this is, for me personally, I feel like this is filling a gap that we hear all the time from customers, that they want security, and we're just a little bit out of reach in price. So That's all I have.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good point because we've already started selling this and it's about the third of cost of our normal like penetration test like cost, right? And it does take, less time human on the keyboard time, right? And so I think that's a really important thing is like that we can get something out there for like smaller companies who normally, in fact, I think that's one of the customers we have right now. They don't have a very large attack surface, right? And so it makes sense for those customers. But then also, like the way we've set this up, very soon, I mean, actually, it could happen now, right? Testers will be able to essentially go run this on their externals, like full externals that they're running. They can go use this plus their manual stuff. So it's like kind of two different things. Like we have the AI only offering, but also on our normal externals, like testers are going to be using this to make sure that they're like, getting coverage, and it just as a data point to like, what else did I miss something, right? And so I think the goal is, unless the customer specifically opts out, is to run this essentially on all externals. And it also, I think the plan is to essentially integrate it into upcoming changes to CPT offerings too. So
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, certainly. And then we get that mix of automated testing and manual testing
yeah,
Yeah.
together.
Yep, it's definitely, I mean, now I get the name, the fusion of the
yeah,
automated AI with the human aspect. And
yeah,
that, because I did go to that ROE call, and one of the things that I noticed the customer was receptive to was the confirmation that they still had access to at any time a BHIS tester, a BHIS penetration tester. I think that's something to keep in mind too, is that this is not a cruise control situation. Um, and I could s
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I could see when
yeah. I agree. Like,
their lights, their faces open up and go, "Ah, we got it," because that's what they wanted, so
yeah, yeah. I agree. Like that's one thing I noticed too. Like at the beginning of the call, they seemed a little bit guarded, like a little bit reserved, and by the end of it, they're like, "All right, you guys seem on top of things. We're excited about this."
anyway, so I think if that's all your questions, that was really fun. I was expecting like a really like gotcha questions. No gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, now I'm disappointed in myself.
I know, right? No, I'm just kidding. Well, thanks for coming on, Melissa. You're welcome
Yeah.
anytime you want to come hang out on our podcast. So
Yeah, well, it was nice, it was different. It's different than just staring at emails all day because I'm never customer facing, and so this was nice, so
Yeah.
well,
This is
welcome.
great.
thanks so much.
All right. Well, I guess I'll say the tagline. Keep on prompting.
Keep on prompting.